Alright, it's confession time. I've been a very bad YouTuber. Again. Because I've once again done a bunch of wool outlines and a bunch of behind the scenes build planning, hello Mo, without recording any of it. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a windmill blade in the background, which is part of the issue. But before we get into anything too substantial, let's recap where we left off with this village last video. Last video, we added in this little fisherman's hut, all of these dock areas down here, as well as this little building, this nice little crane. Got quite a bit of progress. That's obviously added to the tavern and the lighthouse combination from the last one, along with the stables. But anyway, today's video, we're going to be tackling something that's been quite requested for quite a bit of time. It is going to be a little windmill complex here with some wooden rickety walkways that I really like and are kind of defining the look of this village. I just really like how these are all looking. So we'll add one here leading from the lighthouse ruins to the ruins that this windmill is going to be a part of. So let's just start the same way we've been starting, and we're all going to ignore the fact that I have a test version of that windmill over there, and let's just start off with some ruins. I must admit, I am getting much faster at doing that texturing. That only took a couple of minutes of real life time. I mean, granted, this isn't a really big one and it's not particularly complex texturing, but still. Anyway, moving on. We've got this base ruin here. I'm going to add a little bit of work here, and then I think we're going to have a little sub-building here to enter in, and then we're going to have the windmill itself, which I'm thinking is going to be a more recent construction, kind of like the tavern, kind of like this building down here. It's not going to be as ruined, as well as a little sub-building here again, and then we'll add those blades back in, because as much as I like how those turned out, I do have a couple of things I want to change. Now, of course, I could just do that, or I could get distracted. Man, I suck at parkour. This is why I stick to building. Yeah, that looks unsafe enough for my liking. Let's move on to this little sub-building here. I'm thinking something small, something mainly wooden, something that's just kind of like that little fisher's hut down there. It's not some grand structure. It's just something maybe as a storage solution. Maybe they built a little shed to hold tools and supplies for the mill that's right next to it. Either way, let's just see what we can make here. I just remembered, much to my excitement, that we now have access to 26.2 and Cinnabar blocks, which we did not have last time I recorded an episode of this series, so definitely immediately going to put it to work here with this roof. I know that a lot of people like complaining about anything and everything Mojang does with Minecraft, but I personally feel like they've been really on fire with 26.2 and the new snapshots for 26.3. These blocks have been so needed for so long, especially sulfur and cinnabar, and especially the gray wood, which is a whole nother ramble that I'll save for some other time. But anyway, with that tiny shed done now, we can move on to kind of the main event, which is the windmill. And we are going to start that by moving it over with Axiom really quickly. Now, I built this earlier, so we might as well use it at least as a starting point to demonstrate kind of what this is going to end up looking like. And yeah, you can see why I kind of got carried away with this. This just adds so much to the area, a little bit of shape, a little bit of pop of white against a honestly quite dark area. Or maybe that's just my monitor. I don't know. Also, outfit change. What do you guys think? But anyway, back to the windmill. We have this little trick that I like using two trapdoors put together, and then a wall to create this upwards angle that's a little bit sharper than you can achieve normally with full blocks, while also being a lot thinner, matching really well with just stepped slabs. And then we use a combination of pale shelves and trapdoors on the backside to kind of create the sails of these windmill blades. And from most angles, I really like how this looks. So now it's all about texturing this a little bit. I want to add some birch to add a little bit of color contrast to these blades, and then building the structure behind it. And Mo is continuing to wander further and further away from his bar. Might need to lock him in there at some point. Just gonna do a teeny tiny bit of shading first. Just let's see how that looks. No, okay, absolutely not. No, 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 no. Terrible. Very, very bad. Horrible. No, not doing that. Keeping it like this. Much better. You know, sometimes simple is good, guys. I'm going to texture this white wall quite heavily just because right now, as you can see, the white blades kind of blend into the wall behind it, and I'm just adding a little bit of birch, a little bit of this sandstone kind of just almost yellowing the white a little bit more just so that the pale oak of the windmill pops a little bit harder and makes it just a little bit more kind of interesting to look at and just makes it easier to kind of see what's going on with the build overall. And you can see already that's done a lot to make it a little bit easier to kind of distinguish the blades from the wall behind it. But anyway, on to one of my least favorite things in Minecraft building, the roof of a circular building. Anyway, taking a step back, we have filled in the walls, we've gotten the roof in, we've gotten this little itty bitty mini shed attachment attached to the windmill. And I'm going to be honest, I was not a huge fan of Cinnabar when they first announced it, but now it has grown on me quite a bit, specifically in this palette of Cinnabar bricks and granite. It's just a slightly different shade of red that we didn't have access to before, and I'm really enjoying getting to use it. I might honestly go down there and add a couple of small accents onto that roof. But anyway, with this in, it's now going to be detailing this area, adding a little bit more ruins to this, adding some, parts of the collapsed wall like we have with the lighthouse, and just adding some detailing in and finishing up this windmill. I've just finished up adding the floor to this area and the little staircases to access the walkway to the lighthouse, as well as the way out in the direction of the windmill, which does not have an interior and likely won't for a little while. But anyway, what I was thinking is to add a sort of little tent area here that we could use to store supplies under, taking use of this corner that's still standing here. I would love to wait for wool stairs and slabs to be added, but frankly, I don't have that kind of time, nor do I have that kind of patience. Let's make it work without them. Trying to make convincing cloth in Minecraft is a nightmare sometimes, and one that I am just trying to get something serviceable out of that doesn't just make me immediately hate what I've created. So we're trying. But honestly, okay, I don't mind that. It's definitely a little bit saggy, but I think it works as just a little corner tent here that we can stash some supplies under. The rest of this wood, we're going to texture it so that it looks like, it's actually exposed to the elements. Taking a bit of a step back, I feel like we've got something really nice going here with these two sub-buildings, but I do feel a little bit like this empty space back here needs a little bit of a structure attached to the windmill just to balance out the weight of it, for lack of a better word. So I'm going to get to work on that now. I think that was sorely needed, and I really, really like how that's turned out. See, it's just a little bit of an addition. It's not huge, it's not overpowering the build itself. It's definitely fitting that kind of wonky thrown together theme. We got support beams all over the place. We got a tiny little like basement window. I really like how this is turning out. I've done this little trick using darker trapdoors on the underside to make it look like they're shadowed from underneath. But anyway, with some finishing touches to the tent and some storage areas, I think that is all we have time for today. Thank you so very much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Bye.